when I studied Zohar and Kabbalah, one of the things I took away from it is the concept of balance. Balance in your life is very important. Uh, the dreidel, we're in a good season for it, is an example of that. The longer you try to keep it in balance, but sooner or later something happens, and one of the sides becomes the top side, and that everybody, says, "Oh, you won the game." Well, no, not necessarily. It depends on what's been handed to you, and you have to find a way of bringing it back into balance. And it's a very important concept in life. The entire Torah is built this way. The
Yes,
Torah,
and
yeah.
uh,
Go ahead, Michael.
okay, thank you. I'm sorry that I can't refer to exactly where in the Torah uh, I remember this, but uh, if you if there are two animals pulling a a structure or a wagon, the rabbi will know, but I can't recall. If you have two animals pulling a wagon, they have to be equal to keep the balance. So you can't have
The
a
same
horse.
species, the same breed or the same species, right?
Yeah, it can't
Yes.
be a horse and a donkey. It has to be the same
That's right.
species.
That's part of our teachings, and so when so what one of the things that is important, I think, anyway, at least to me, what I've learned in the studies is that a few weeks ago we spoke a lot about the possibility of wisdom with
Yes, we
manna.
certainly did.
Well, what about understanding, knowing when and where, okay, to use that wisdom. If you think about it, you'll understand what I'm getting again about what I'm getting about harmony, balance, and you have to rein things in. Also, when I studied Zohar and Kabbalah, did that in the tree of they consider the Sephirotic chart the tree of they call it the tree of life, but it's like it mirrors the Torah. What it does in our Torah, uh, we don't have real heroes that aren't tarnished. Our heroes mirror each of us, and it's up to all. But once we seek that balance, I'm going to refer in uh, uh, to the story of David, okay, because he finds that balance later on in his life. He has a good side, but he has an awful side. And we have to control both. Too much of one can still make space for the bad side. We can run into issues.
Well,
And so we have to be careful and always find balance so that the dreidel doesn't flop over on one of its sides.
uh,
And yes,
Good
yes,
morning,
Mona. Good morning.
Tony.
Good morning.
Marty. That was what you're speaking about. Oh, I have an announcement to make.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's a big one. I was confirmed last evening,
Oh, congratulations.
and yes, yes, it was at the temple with a few people, and
Oh,
uh, yeah, it's been 11 years, that I've been part of the Jewish community, not just here, but other places.
right.
And to not I knew it was my path, but I know also the heaviness of taking on becoming a Jew. And so learning and being more involved, it was time. So welcome me to your tribe.
Yes, no, welcome. That's right. It's great. But
Yeah.
it is a long quest. It is a long quest.
But you know what? It was how it unfolded, and you're talking about balance and everything, and uh of me not pushing, okay?
Hmm.
And having the wish, not pushing, and if and stay focused on that, you will know the time when the time.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is, and it's throughout Torah.
Yeah.
We are presented both sides of a human being,
Right.
always. And that is the amazing part of the Torah.
Yeah, it's like Muzar. I've studied, and
Hmm.
it's a very, very good path also for character
Yes,
development.
yes.
Yeah.
The whole concept of giving, but if you give too much, you're
Hmm.
poor.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so
that that
you have to keep things in balance.
yeah, that
Well,
is
yeah, but you got to look at yourself. I mean, I can say keep things in balance, but really, what
Yes,
does that mean? And what are my attributes, and to really kind of, for me, this is for me, okay, and
sure.
working on myself, and to see these the jealous, that's what moves are, my jealousness, all those characters, what we I don't like to call them negative. Uh,
and also how do you contribute to your Judaism? In what way and how do you do that? And I wanted to congratulate you, Mazel Tov. And I want to
Yeah.
say one thing about wisdom, Marty, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Marty. Um, Wisdom, I think I understand, at least from my perspective, uh, uh, wisdom should be spoken of in the most constructive way possible. That it leads to uh, very good things being taught to another person in a constructive way. Sometimes it could be if you're talking to somebody and you're trying to apply wisdom in what you're saying, it could lead to uh, maybe animosity that
Sure,
that
sure.
that somebody could take it the wrong way. So it's very, very important to apply it in a way that has its most meaning uh, without anything else getting in the way, any negativity getting in the way.
Sure. This is but we need a little negativity.
yeah, yes, we
You
do.
can't have it total. You can't have it totally erased. You,
Yeah, a
yeah,
mentor of mine equates that to honing ourselves when we
right,
come up to resistance of other people or ideas or whatever, that we're kind of real, it hones us in character. So having the negativity or whatever, we need that, because how am I going to see this how am I going to see that in myself if
right.
I'm not buttoned up against it with others? So,
That's.
yeah, huh?
I just want to say what an analogy that I read about through another rabbi, Firestone. She's excellent, and she spoke about the Torah in this way, and it just came to mind. Yeah, everything we knew, you have the blessings and the curses. They're always there in front of us,
Hmm.
and our job is to constantly weigh everything. Yes, there's judgment, but we've discussed tempering it with love. That's also on the Sephirotic chart.
Hmm.
And
That's
you can't have
interesting.
it all one way. If you have too much justice, you lose the compassionate side of justice.
Yeah,
And we're going
it's
to be
difficult.
reading and we're going to discuss that in greater length when we come to it, what the phrase justice, justice shall you pursue.
Hmm.
Okay, because uh, uh, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, used to keep that on her desk
Mm,
at all times. And when you understand from the point of view she was coming, she was trying to find that balance between the law and the need for possible change.
mm,
Okay, so you have to respect someone like that. You may not
mm,
agree with everything somebody says. If you agree with everything somebody says, there's something wrong with you. You're not thinking about what they're saying. But if you
I didn't know you were a
because that's your
psychiatrist.
midbrain driving you. But if you take the words and you question them all the time, you'll have a better understanding of where they're coming from, but where you're coming from. By
mhm,
the way, what we're talking about, the Torah is the first 12-step process and that is used in recovery from drugs, recovery from alcohol, okay? And psychiatrists use that and psychologists use that all the time. So it's a very interesting thing that way, way back in our history, there was more understanding of that. Hi, Rabbi. How
Good
are you feeling?
morning. I'm sorry.
How are you feeling?
Oh, oh, I'm okay. It was yesterday was one of those days. One of the we call them the life cycle days.
mm,
Uh, a cousin's son and daughter-in-law had a baby girl.
mm,
We
Mazel tov.
celebrated Donna's ceremony last night, and
We
we
were talking
also and
about that.
we also had a death in the congregation. So we
mm.
went through.
Who,
Phil Fix
who,
died. Yes,
could you mention who it
Phil
was?
Phil Fix. Some of you,
Yeah.
Oh,
Roberta Rabin's partner. So sadly, it was one of those life cycle days, and
yeah.
that's why I'm back and forth getting onto the phone and double checking with people. So
And the rabbi just personified what balance is all about. You had, some not so happy things and
hmm.
happy things to balancing each other.
How's Sue?
She's doing better. It's a slow process, but she's getting better.
Okay, good.
And my job right now is trying to keep her from overdoing.
An important, a very important job.
Yes,
It's
difficult.
hard.
Very
It's
important job.
hard. Uh, and by the way, being headstrong, there's a positive side to it and a negative side to
Hmm.
it. So everything we talk about in Torah, it mirrors this. So, or we're a mirror of Torah. You can look at it both directions. But it's fascinating. Anyway, David, would you like to read your? I've hogged too much of the time here. David, why don't you read your uh, the poem or the prose that you brought?
Thank you. Thank you. I have a very brief poem today. In the 1751, Thomas Gray wrote a poem which I think is one of the first stanza of which I think is possibly the finest thing ever written in the English language. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd winds slowly o'er the lea. The plowman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me.
Mm.
Thank you very much for letting me read that to you today.
Okay, that poem can be taken in multiple ways too. That could be the topic of an essay.
I think so, yeah.
More than one.
To me, darkness is not the negativity darkness, but the darkness of the night sky that reminds me of.
Yes. That I'm going to also refer you to Robert Frost.
Mm.
Okay. It's an interest. What is the title to that? Stopping by
By the woods on a
on a
something or other, right?
snowy eve or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that. I
Yeah,
don't.
which way do I go? The Yellow
Wait,
Woods.
no, that's
Oh,
two
that's,
roads diverge. But
oh,
what is the one about the snowy evening? My horse think is queer to.
Stopping by woods on a snowy evening.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Appropriate for the
David.
winter equinox.
Yes, yes. It is. So this is a day in balance. Think
There's
about
another
that.
Robert Frost poem that I'd be afraid to read because it's too long, which is called The Star Splitter. And it begins with Orion rising in the east and throwing a leg over the hills, which is exactly kind of what you see when you look. So he must have observed that. But
Sure.
he writes about this guy who had his house burned down his house, and he used the insurance money to buy a telescope. And the poem is about that.
That's interesting. That. It's an interesting commentary.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started with Torah. Okay, Rabbi, where did we leave off the week that you had read?
Um, let's see. We were chapter 12. I don't, it's 2 weeks already. I don't
you know,
remember what
I
I had
know
for,
you've had a
I
lot.
don't remember what I had for breakfast an hour ago.
my ribbon stopped at chapter 13.
Did we finish chapter 12? I didn't think so.
No,
Maybe. Um,
Just
well, good and right, you son of God.
mine,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Do not.
um,
We had left. You guys had gone on, but
oh,
you didn't talk.
you know what? Right. I think we finished at 20, at 28, 29. So that just about is.
Okay.
so
Yeah,
is it the
yeah.
last paragraph to go
Right.
over?
We finished it. We finished with the paragraph. At least in my book, the way it's structured, we finished at with verses 26, 27.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
where that's what my note says. Okay.
All right.
Okay, okay. So you're in the middle of we're discussing kashrut. Uh, some of it anyway. Any comments about a couple of weeks ago when the rabbi led the Torah study?
Uh, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. I ask you.
That,
you-
I remember that.
if it wasn't for this book, I can tell you what I was reading 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it's hard when if you ask me what was 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Well, I
One of
remember the
one of our
gazelle.
one of our concluding comments was we had pointed out the irony that here are all the prohibitions about ingesting or eating or drinking blood
Mhm. Ah,
and whatever, and yet the blood libel throughout history has been one of the major tropes of anti-Semitism.
hmm.
So that was one of the final comments that we had made was recognizing the irony of that.
Sure. And by the way, do you know why beef is important?
Beef?
Beef. What does it give us nutritionally
Amino
besides vitamin B12?
iron, right?
Iron. Right. Okay, it's in the blood. Okay. By the way, our blood is an animal and what we consider mammals, birds, dinosaurs, all that blood is based on iron. You take the insects and their line, okay, and their blood is based on copper. Their blood is green, our blood is red. So oxidized copper,
Oh, wow.
okay?
So when they hit the windshield, it, it's green.
It's a
That's it.
tone.
Okay.
It's a tone of it. That's right. So, just as an aside, I just like to say this was the time and place to make a little joke out of all the seriousness that
Yeah.
we've been going through. Uh, but there's another thing that even though, so you would expect if they were prohibited from drinking the blood, they would all
Right.
become anemic. Not so. Not so. There's another food that we all consume, okay? Uh, and I learned this after taking care of a patient. And grapes, okay, and therefore wine are very rich in iron, okay? And then so it would we since we can eat the grapes and and subsequently consume the wine for religious purposes.
You know, running a
we
party.
get our we get our iron that from that source. So it's just a very I like to throw in a little bit of science every so often, since that's my background. Anything else that you commented about the blood at that time
Yeah.
as a source of life?
Gosh, there was a lot of meat in that session, trying to bring it
Yeah.
up.
Because it is, by the way, Rabbi, that is a very ironic situation. But when you said irony, that's what came to my mind.
That's what I got it there, man. I saw your brain working there.
But that goes into our discussion about balance also.
Hmm.
We had also, I'm on a kick with this, but we had talked about that if they needed to, they could eat the gazelle and the deer. And so I went on a little research about that, and that the gazelle and the deer both chew their cud, but they do have the cleft, cloven.
Cloven hoof,
Yes,
right.
yes,
Cloven foot, yes.
right, right. Because I had questioned that. Anyway, so that was spoke about.
Well, that's good. So
Yeah.
we don't have to. So again, do's and don'ts and things. We started. So we should start with verse 28.
What page is that?
In Plowed, it is 1422,
Ah, I'm on the right page for a change. Thank you.
and in 50 more years, Columbus finds us. Finds the new world.
Marty, just to point out, in a couple of weeks, when I'm going to be at this the convention of the retired rabbis, we're being introduced to the prototypes of the new. They're publishing a new reform commentary.
Okay,
The first since the Plout, which was in the 1970s.
right, right.
Right,
It's
right. So
due. Yes.
they've been working on it. They've been working on a new one, and we're going to have the opportunity to see a few examples. So maybe when I get back in a couple of weeks,
That would
I'll
be
bring that in. We
interesting.
can screen share it, and I can show
Yeah.
the way that the way that the scholars are approaching things now.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, oh, you have to, and by the way, all of the commentaries throughout history, okay, we had a long-standing oral commentary, and then you had
Sure.
the written commentaries, and it depends who, what, when, and where the commentary was written.
and who your rabbi was, and whether
You got
whether
it.
he in those days whether he endorsed that particular commentary
That's right.
or
That's
not.
right.
Right,
That's
because
right.
he
And
might have
each
told you,
temple,
no, don't look at that individual's commentary. Right.
and as a matter of fact, we're told if we move and we join a different temple, we're supposed to adopt the ways of the new temple, not to come in to try to change it to something that you came
Right.
from.
Right.
Right.
Because if you do that, you'll be happier.
Well, you'll be unbalanced.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It allows you to find balance. That's right. So now when you look at the world around you, you will see that that there that everything we could say there's good and evil all around us. It's important to have bacteria in the world, but too many bacteria makes us sick. So there has to be some something to balance that out. It's the fungi. Okay? They keep it in check. So when we get rid of all the fungi, for whatever reason in climate and like that, other bacteria can thrive, some of which we don't like. And so as we go along, and you look around your own life, you'll see, oh, that's what it's all about, finding balance.
But
Okay?
it's not finding perfection. I think
Correct.
it's
Correct.
not about perfecting this.
That's right.
It's about wanting to work towards it and ignite.
Very good. Excellent point.
Because I can get, we get caught in wanting to do everything so perfect because it's a reflection of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I work it, is that this is where I want to go to. I'm not going to do it perfectly, but I'm doing what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the more yeah. So this is good.
Yeah. So
I
anyway,
can read 28 for you.
okay. Why don't you go through 28 all the way through? Well, go ahead. Go
29.
ahead. Just 28, and then you can read some more, Donna. Sure.
Okay, great.
Why don't you do the blessing first?
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It only took
Uh,
us a half an hour to get there.
it's me. It's me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
You're on, Donna.
Thank you. Be careful to heed all these commandments that I enjoin upon you. Thus it will go well with you and your descendants after you forever. For you will be doing what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God.
Oh, very good. Any comments? The first comment I'm going to ask you, it's a little reworded here, but have you heard words that are similar? Maybe last night?
Well, I think Marty. I think what you're. I think you're alluding to the kind of the phrase, and be careful to heed all these commandments. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus, da, da, da. But then it's all. The problem is, or not the problem, but the reality is that we're only reading verse not out of context, but we're only reading certain verses here as
That's right.
opposed to listening to the whole Moses's whole oration.
Right.
He keeps coming back to that same theme.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And we've discussed that
Right.
many times over the past month or so, 2 months or three. It's a very important concept,
Hmm.
and it is hard. That's all I can say. It's very hard for us to follow sometimes.
Well,
I-
I keep on making the parallel that as an orator, this is his I have a dream.
Yes,
This is his
oh,
the phrase that he keeps on coming back to,
yes.
kind of thing, or the context to put
Hmm.
because we may be hearing it like we were just joking before. It may be a couple weeks between verses,
Right.
whereas in the moment, everything was together in a couple hours. So
hmm.
yeah.
Any other comments? Okay,
I-
Donna, why don't you read verse 29? And in Plout, he ends it at the end of verse 1 for the next chapter.
Okay. For me?
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
okay. Just real quickly, I was curious about the word heed.
Mm-hmm.
And the American translation is pay attention to or take notice of. Take notice of.
Right.
And not about the perfection, but we need to pay attention.
That's right.
Okay. So anyway, that was interesting. Okay. 29.
Please.
When when the Lord your God has cut down before you the nations that you are about to enter and dispossess, you have dispossessed them and settled in their land. Be aware of being lured into their ways after they had been wiped out before you. Do not inquire about their gods, saying, how did those nations worship their gods? I too will follow those practices. You shall not act thus toward the Lord your God, for they perform for their gods every abhorrent act that the Lord detests. They even offer up their sons and daughters in fire to their gods. Be careful to observe only that which I enjoin upon you, neither add it to it nor take away from it.
Okay.
Wow. That's a pretty clear message here.
It is. Any comments?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead,
When
Michael.
when we see that, be careful, observe. Wait a second, where is it? They even offer up their sons and daughters to their gods. And this reminds me of more recent times when Saddam Hussein was offering or asking people to offer their sons, I think daughters as well. They were given $25,000 to be uh, suicide bombers. If you know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
And
Is
and
it,
that part of
and
their
so
religion.
they're still practicing. They practice that, and this is something that we have to be very careful of. What God is instructing us.
good point. Good point. Any other comments?
I have a question. During
They're always welcome.
during this time period, I don't know where the Hebrews or is it Hebrew or I don't know if they were Hebrews, Jews, or Israelites.
Is okay.
In other
They're
words, how
Israelites.
he
Israelites.
he pointed out, don't be lured into it. Are they still of that mindset after leaving Egypt of those gods wanting to return to that which was familiar? Was God then concerned because they didn't have a real good foothold yet that they would be dispersed into other nations' gods? So I guess the question is that a factor in this at all, or just a reminder to all of us to be cautious of being pulled towards something different?
Okay.
Now,
Go ahead, Marianne.
I'm hearing Shauna say this is going back to balance. And a God can be anything. It could be a new car, it could be a concern about health, it could be any idol. That, as you were saying
Mhm.
in the beginning, we have to stay balanced, not
Oh,
be pulled back to something that feels safe or comfortable or non-threatening. Be able to face what we need to face with courage, with dignity, but you not be fanatical in it either. Just to stay balanced all the time.
yeah. It's difficult as a human to
Yes.
have new concepts like this. I can't imagine what they were going through in their own minds of where, you know, which way should I go? There's all this uncertainty. And anything new, like when I first got into the studying of Judaism, it's so foreign that and you're trying to do it and you don't understand it and you're like, well, maybe this isn't for me, or go back to the familiar. It's safe. We have to get out of our safe places and really, take that risk to follow this
Yeah,
command for
like,
me.
like Marty said too, discernment. I've noticed on TV a lot of these AI commercials now. Boy, it's hard to tell what's real, what's not.
That's
And
good.
that the discernment comes with balance, not to dive headfirst into the pool and break your neck. That you have to look at these things from a distance before you involve, or at least I do anyway, before you involve yourself in it. And like Marty was saying with the balance, I don't know, Marty, if you know anything about yoga, but there are yoga exercises,
Same thing.
standing on one foot, that put the mind and the body into balance and staying with the basics, you know. If the car's running, it's running regardless of the price. Just stay balanced and integrate what is good into that as opposed to buying into all this AI crazy commercial stuff, which is making me nuts, as you can tell. Um, and, yeah, it's balance.
That reminds me, Marianne, when you use the word balance so many times, that things come to mind. One thing that came to my mind was a balanced diet.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Hear about that all the time. So balance is a part of everyone's life in one way or another, and most of your life, and most of all of your individual life. To have this balance, it's remarkable, and it really comes from reading the Torah. It teaches you about the balance. You balance your tires if you're driving a car. Back then, they had no cars, but in more modern times, that this word balance comes into your life constantly, and at times when you don't even realize it, you just go ahead and do it
Mhm.
without thinking about it.
Okay. Good points, everyone.
Mhm.
Anything else come to mind?
Well, it's Moses is, I guess Moses is the father figure,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so he's telling his kids, he says, "Listen, don't be tempted. Don't even start inquiring about. Just listen to what I say. Follow what I say, not what you see others do."
Huh.
Now we might necessarily not necessarily agree with that as the best parental advice in every way, but that's what he's saying. He says because once you open the door a crack, it's so much easier to walk through. So
Mhm.
don't so his statements are don't even begin inquiring about their the practices of others, and don't deviate from what I'm telling you to the right or to the left. Okay? Now, mainstream Judaism picks up on that and debates it as
Right.
to whether there could be any kind of modification, through history and whatever from Moses' law. But that's not what he means. He means at this point, and I think Donna's question or framework is right also, that these are still people, the Israelites. These are still people who are learning about this new society and this new cult, and I mean that in a positive way. And the temptations are to go back to what they remembered in Egypt.
Mhm.
The farther away from Egypt in number of years and miles or kilometers, the less they remember about the slavery, but the more they remember about some of these ceremonies and rituals that did, bring results for them. So it's understandable.
Mhm.
I have a question, Marty, if I
Yes.
may, concerning the ultra Orthodox and balance. Uh, my my let's see if I can frame this question correctly. Uh, is is it possible that the ultra Orthodox in Judaism can become out of balance
Mhm.
because of the laws that they adhere to and the constant uh, praying without taking a break almost. It's just a constant um, uh, giving of that. Because I often think about that, not because of what we're talking about now, but on my own in my own thoughts. And so that's a question that I have. Um, and on the other side of that, you take the reform, the reconstruction. Is there is there do they get out of balance because of kind of getting away from what what the Orthodox Judaism is all about? You see what I'm saying? And maybe I'm not explaining right, but I'm trying. With my lack of words that I'm forgetting, I
No, no, no.
apologize.
You did a good job, Michael. You
Thank
did okay. Any comments about what Michael just said?
I think it's, I think it's based on individuals. I think the philosophy in the personal, okay, personally, I've read what they call the Old Testament in Christianity, and I thought, oh, that's nice, that's cute. This has made more sense to me than anything else in reading the Torah. For some reason, it's just more direct. But I think, as Michael's just saying, are we going to talk about a group of people in balance, or do we talk about personal, individual balance? And I think that's where the difference lies. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know if they are not balanced because in their minds, in their community, they are.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so for me to say that person is or this group, to me, yes, that's being unbalanced. But to them, I accept, maybe it's not for them. That's what they know, that's what they practice, and that's what they believe.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm more concerned with, as an individual, am I working on it? Because that
Mhm.
will affect everyone in my community.
Mhm. That's better. That's what I was trying to say. That it's up to each person within that group to maintain that balance,
Individual balance, which will be,
which will become, like you just said, become
yeah.
a group. balance.
Right.
Any system works better if you have multiple points of view represented.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the big difference
It is very
between
hard
the
to do.
Orthodox. They cannot ask the questions like,
That's the way we're asking them,
yeah.
but they still discuss them in different ways. They still have these similar discussions, but they use different examples that pertain to their way of
Right.
living.
And a different acceptance of the authoritative figure
Mm.
Right,
who will give the ultimate answer.
right.
Now that ultimate answer may come from one particular recognized rabbi or sage, or the answer might be we don't know, I don't know, will the Messiah will tell us. And that's hence we have to work all the more fervently to bring about the Messiah so we can get the answers to the questions
Oh,
that we haven't been able to find out.
hmm.
By the way, what we're discussing is tikkun olam.
Is
Um,
what could you
Think about it. If you
well,
see
we might
something
call it
out of
that.
balance, I don't
We
say,
might call that the mystics and the Kabbalists
yeah,
might call it that.
yes.
I'm not sure that the ultra orthodox would put that under the rubric of tikkun olam.
Correct. No, but I'm saying our group, what we're talking about
Oh, what
here.
we're the way that
Yeah,
we're phrasing it. Yeah, sure,
yeah.
sure.
And because if it's too much, there are issues that can happen. When in Israel, the ultra Orthodox do not want to get involved in fighting a war that wasn't put, demanded by God, that it's man driven. Likewise, you have people who don't want war because they want to accept everyone, no matter what their belief is, no matter what their actions are. That goodness is always, if you present enough goodness, it will influence the thinking of others.
Mm.
So this is the balance. You can see that too much, you neglect yourself. You open yourself if that other person hasn't told you that they want to do you harm in some way.
Mm.
So you have to always keep an open eye to things and like that. You have the extremists in Islam. You have they're extremists in Judaism. They're extremists in Christianity. They're extremists. You name the religion, there's an extremist aspect to it. When they get to a point where they feel their way of thinking is above everyone else's, and therefore
Hmm.
everyone else has to comply to the way they feel.
Yeah.
When
what separates that from a cult?
cult falls into the same situation.
Oh,
The people in the cult think everything is fine. Everything's in balance in their world, but in the total world, it's not in balance with the entire world. It represents an extreme way of thinking about things.
Yeah, see, that's um, that's really important, that extremism, to talk about it, because people lose sight of right and wrong,
mhm.
you know. And I can give you an example, if you allow me, which will really uh, make my point. Many years ago in New York, there was a young woman jogging, probably in Central Park, and there was seven men that assaulted her, left her for dead. And in short time, the police um, They got all the 7 men. They put them in the jail. And a high ranking member of the church found out about that. And what he did was this high ranking member of the church went to the jail and says, "Don't worry, God loves you if you repent." And where didn't he not go? He did not go to the bedside of the woman who was near death to pray with her and to stay with her. And so there was a big uproar when the citizens at that time of New York found out about it. It was a real big uproar about that. And so that this is I think a very good example of when you lose sight of one, one of the other. And here you're talking about a difference, someone who's out of balance.
You know, and that's what balance is all about. You don't want to just do it one way. You, by the way, this pertains to every occupation you can think of in your own lives, any job you've had. If it doesn't work one way, a lot of people get very upset and like that. But there are multiple ways to accomplish the same thing. I don't care if you're a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, what a secretary, a typist, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. Rabbis, priests, and like that. It's okay to minister to these groups or to think a certain way, but you have to remember, as Michael pointed out, what about the other side? And that's difficult for a human being to do. We always gravitate to a group that we feel warm hugs. Okay, we don't like the pricklies. Okay, going back to the old psychology with that, but but so if we know that stopping at a red light is important, but we say we're in a hurry. I'm going to go through that light anyway. Well, it can create havoc or death or things like that. But the person who did it it may have a very valid reason that we don't necessarily know from the outside. What if that person who went through the red light was really trying to race home because somebody in his family was dying or her family was dying? So we can't have, and that's where the balance has to come into the law. And that's why it's important. That's why good lawyers have to know all of the pluses and minuses of the law, why it's important for the other side, even though there was a case where a particular decision was made, you still have to know the arguments of the losing side because it may pertain to your case today.
I just want to go back to for a minute to what Michael said, that yes, those people should repent for their actions, but that having worked with victims, one of the most healing things for a victim can do is to forgive them. And that's a pretty hard thing to forgive. Well, the example that Michael used, that there's two sides there, them repenting, the victim forgiving. And that's not easy in a lot of circumstances.
Well, but when you're forgiving, you're also uh, altering the simultaneous thoughts that people do go through of hating.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes with just cause.
And then that hatred takes over.
Yes.
Right.
So, if I may, my mind has been racing in listening to a lot of this conversation, and I actually had to go and check something in a dictionary. Maybe if Miri or Steve Marin were here or something, they might have a different interpretation. But modern Hebrew, and I don't have a biblical or a Talmudic dictionary here.
Hmm.
Modern Hebrew does not have a word that describes the kind of balance that we're talking about. Interesting. Okay.
That is.
Now I don't know if that, I mean, we'd have to really explore it. Does that mean that Judaism per se doesn't really have this concept that this is something we're imposing upon our thinking rather than deriving it out of our Jewish orientation?
Mhm.
But anytime that you're looking for balance in Hebrew, it diverts back to the terms that are used in the Torah for balance of weights
Of weight, yes. Yes.
of equal weight. Okay, there's mishkal, which comes from the word shekel. Yeah, like justice, the little
It's the
justice,
same thing.
right?
That's right.
So there's mishkal, which comes from the word shekel. All right, you know, which is the amount of the
Right.
coin or whatever, or moznaim that comes from your ozen that comes. So even in biblical times they identified the sense of balance with their ears, with the inner ear. I had didn't make that connection.
Wow.
That's amazing that it goes all the way back that early. But there's no those the modern Hebrew takes those biblical terms, which come out of an entirely different context than the balance that we're talking about, a balance in life. And I can't find, at least in the books that I have here, I can't find a Hebrew phrase for that. Now there may be something in Aramaic and Talmudic, there may be something in Yiddish, but I don't really have that here. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that in.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
no thumbs on the scale.
Yeah.
Right.
You come from New
No,
York,
just
I can
yeah, the
tell.
but the butcher back. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I have to remember going back too, that was not, it's kind of a luxury, our lives in the last 20 years or so, the self-help and all these little keywords, little, talking points, which are helpful. But they didn't have that. They didn't have the leisure time to go, is my life, are we balanced today? No, I mean, they weren't even thinking about that. They didn't even, that didn't enter their mind. That's some modern word and a modern idea. We work on it and it's to our attribute, but not for them. They were worried about surviving and wars and, um, that was not even part of it, I don't believe.
Okay. I don't know what it's true. Uh, what I find interesting, like in many documentaries, they don't talk about the good times in between the wars.
Right.
I For the dead animals at animal shows where, oh, they're so
Whatever. That's
beautiful, and
right.
then a lion eats them, or the environment. Okay, anyway,
Yeah. So anyway, we've
okay.
taken that apart. Thank you, Rabbi, for what you brought to us. And I think that's fascinating.
Mhm.
Uh, any other comments about what Donna read?
Excuse me.
So we'll start with verse 1. We spoke a little bit about the about these topics, and yeah, we covered a lot of that. So let's who would like to read?
Well, are we going to read verse 1 or are we going to discuss it
We should
first? I thought,
we can discuss it here and then we can read it again. Sure.
okay, all right. Because the debate, I don't see it here in the commentaries in my book, but the debate amongst some of the commentators, at least the more modern commentators. So the question, the statement is Moses's guidance is, you know, only observe that which I'm telling
Mm.
you, right? Don't add to it nor take away from it.
Mm.
Okay, and it's another one of those. Where do you put the emphasis? You know, in which syllable? Okay, is it that what I'm saying cannot be detracted or added onto? It's my truth, capital M, capital T, or is it the fact that you, individually or plural, you don't have the right or the knowledge to detract from it?
Hmm.
Is it the Torah is immutable, or is it that I'm the only one who can teach it? I'm
Hmm.
the only one who can tell you how to basically interpret. You can neither add to it nor detract from it. And there's a very healthy debate, not so much in the classic literature that I'm aware of, but in more modern, like Samson Raphael Hirsch and some of the more contemporary people, of how are we supposed to understand that?
Hmm.
I think you can apply both to what the rabbi said to that. Apply it from either side. In other words, that if that's on both, one is on one side of the coin, the other is on the
Right.
other side of the coin.
And it's still one coin.
Right.
Yeah, well, just the one coin, and it's stated like this because uh, it's so powerful that you cannot play with that. You just got to keep it the way it is. You can't go beyond it or
Yeah.
be
I mean,
under it.
Moses never denies that the possibility of changing or modifying or adapting his Torah. He changes his mind. He seeks advice from God, or or whatever, and comes back and says, we did it this way, but now we're going to do it that way. So, but the question is Moses saying, I'm the only one
Hmm.
who has the right to do that, not you?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Because he's speaking that which I, Moses, enjoined upon you.
Okay,
Or
just
should that be in quotes?
where would you put the quotation mark, or
At
where
the
what would
beginning
you
of verse
enclose it
1
in?
to the end of verse 1.
Oh,
In other words, because that has come up with God earlier in the book of Numbers, God is saying this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
And so Moses is really repeating what God said. So maybe in all these generations, maybe it's just a simple quotation mark that could have
Yeah,
been
and
added.
right, and it's also, again, I'm I'm
But
pulling
it
out of
is
one
in,
sentence and pulling it out of context, because in the context of what we've been talking about, all part of Moses's teachings. But now, as we go on, it's what happens when you hear a competing voice.
right.
hmm.
All right, so
Sure.
just I
It,
just
it
I just wanted to make sure that
actually,
we saw that.
and
Yeah,
it's not just man that can have a change of mind. It's God that can have a change of mind.
yeah,
Right.
And there are examples that we've read over the years.
right, right.
So, as the rabbi said, and the one that comes are the three daughters coming to Moses, and he says, "Well, I'll need to speak with God about that overnight. We're going to have." He goes to the tent of the meeting.
Hmm.
into the tent of the meeting. So, and then, okay, we have to modify what God already said. It, he says, no, that you make a good point. But as we said before, the change is made when it's looked at in the context of the community. Will that same situation arise again, or is it just a selfish reason that they want to retain power? But they don't. They're going. Those three gals go out and they get married. They join the other, clans and everything, but their wealth follows each one of them. And so it was for the community.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. With Moses saying his whole oratory thing here, um, I hearken back to where they were at in their lives at that time.
Mm-hmm.
In the fear that, because it's repeatedly said, do not follow other gods, do not follow, do not, no, no, no. And with that statement of be careful, neither add to it nor take away from it, it's fearful. I mean, it's coming from,
Yeah.
don't do it because, but now in this day and age, I believe we are adding to it because we're a different generation and, we have our different words and it's a different community. But the essence of it is still, I mean, it's there, but we have to interpret it in a way that I can understand in my modern life.
Mhm.
So that statement doesn't really kind of put fear into me, but it does put
Awareness.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
awareness. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Any other comments? Okay. So let's read verse 1 again and then jump to in some books I think it's in most of the books. We'll jump to verse 2 it's listed in another chapter as far as it being 13. That's why it's verse 1 there, but it overlaps.
Okay. That's a long one.
So if somebody would like to read verses, we'll go back to verse 1, put it into context of everything we're reading, and just go through the end of verse 6, and then we'll go back and discuss it a little bit more.
Okay.
So who would like to read?
I will.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne.
You're welcome.
Okay. So
Be
start
careful to
with verse 1. Be careful to observe.
only that which I enjoin upon you, neither add to it nor take away from it. And then, if there appears among you a prophet, am I on the right page?
Yes.
Appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner, and he gives you a sign or a potion. Say, let us follow and worship another God whom you have not experienced, even if the sign or portent rather, that he named to you came true. Do not heed the words of that prophet or that dream diviner, for the Lord your God is testing you to see whether you really love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul. Follow none but the Lord your God, and revere none but him. Observe his commandments alone, and heed only his orders. Worship none but him, and hold fast to him. Did you say up to the end of 6? As for the prophet or the dream diviner, he should be put to death, for he urged disloyalty to the Lord your God, who freed you from the land of Egypt and who redeemed you from the house of bondage. to make you stray from the path that the Lord your God commanded you to follow. Then you will sweep out rather evil from your midst.
Okay.
Well,
Any comment?
well, it shows me what I do not need to add or take away from. And that's that part for the Lord, not the testing, but follow none but the Lord. And that whole area right there, that cannot be changed and, should be accepted. You can't add on to that, and you definitely don't want to subtract from that.
Right.
So.
So any other, I think that's very important, Donna, yes. Any other comments?
Hmm.
You
It
can,
does
yes,
bring up
Rabbi, yes.
it brings up the concern of why is God still testing them? We're supposed to be a gracious and compassionate and merciful and understanding God and da 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 da. Da. And yet, at least in Moses's mind, here's this guy on the street corner who says that the Detroit Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, right? And if it comes true, everybody says, "Whoa, the guy must be a real prophet."
Hmm.
But Moses is saying, "No, no, that's just God testing you. God made it come true, but he's just testing you to see if you're going to follow this guy. How am I supposed to know what's going on?
Hmm. Huh.
Doesn't seem fair."
Hmm.
So don't gamble.
Certainly don't bet on the Lions.
That's
Certainly not. But
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of tricky, too. Because I guess it's the following. It's not for me to block out any information about any other path, but I know in my heart and soul that God is one. He's my God. He's our God. But that doesn't keep me from wanting to gather more knowledge and from other walks. It's all important, but I'm still grounded in my faith in God. It's being grounded, and I have to
and the,
work on
and
that
and
to
you're
stay.
and you're grounded ideally in all those things that Moses, have been teaching you.
Hmm.
Okay, so if somebody comes along and says something that is outside of the framework,
Hmm.
even if it does come true,
Hmm.
okay, so that's the test.
Okay.
Can you stay within what they call the fence of the Torah? Even if what this other person, this dream diviner, this prophet, whatever, even if what he or she said does come true. And what's going to get worse is, what if it's a member of your own family?
I have an example.
Yeah, what if it's one of your teachers
yeah.
Hmm. Oh man,
who
yeah,
seems who seems to be leading you astray, and everything that person says does come true.
so how do we become grounded then in situation? It's not in that situation that we all of a sudden become grounded. That's why,
Yeah,
we have.
well, no, Marty, if I may, just to,
Go ahead.
it's
Go ahead.
it's in is, and as Michael was saying too before earlier, that the answers or the truths are within Torah, not within the person.
Right.
Right.
Okay, what was it, Marshall McLuhan? The medium is the message or something. That's irrelevant.
Right.
Okay, the message has to be consistent with Torah, with Torah's message.
Hmm.
And it also is a mindset that that you have God above all everything. Uh, we have a set way of looking at our God. And I'm just trying to paraphrase that we have, and the guide is in Torah. Okay, we can recognize, and it says that in some of our prayers, our God is, again, paraphrasing, the biggest and the best of all the other gods. Okay, we say that every week, every day.
The best.
Yeah, we shall have no others before me.
Yeah, I just take it differently though,
Yeah,
because for me that sets up that I'm better than I have
and
the
that it can. That is one of that is part of this discussion.
yeah.
You have to be careful to keep that so it doesn't get out of whack. You have to keep that in balance. This is you have to say, this is how I believe in that one God. And he's, he's universal. But you have other groups, you know that there are other people out there that are looking at their God as a universal God.
Yeah, and bless them
Yes. Yeah. And so you
because
have to recognize that.
they can make uh, our community, meaning where we live, also put that.
The problem comes. You want to love the neighbor as you love yourself. You want to do all of these actions by love, and you want everybody to be part of your life. But you still have to set your own rules for
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
Uh, the
Yeah.
that reminds me. I think we've talked about this before. However, uh, um, in this country, things are measured by 10 being the best. Uh, you see it. Uh, that woman is a 10 because she's so beautiful. Or in the Olympics, 10 is the highest number you can get, and 10 being the best, 0 or 1 to 10. And so, where does that really come from? Where does the number 10 really come from being the best? And I think we talked about that, and it's from the 10 Commandments.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay. Good way
thank
of.
you.
10 being the best.
Okay.
You like that, Donna?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yeah, I didn't even equate that.
Yeah, I mean, God could have chosen, to do 14
Sure.
But he chose 10.
or a 6, but that number meant
Okay.
something.
That's right.
Huh.
Let alone 613.
Oh gosh, no.
That's a nice round number.
It seems to
Is
fit.
it?
It's a lot. Anyway,
It's just my mind today. I'm just digressing too much.
Understandable. Understandable.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Anyway, uh, any other? It really to me, in this, it's a series of what I call run-on sentences, but to me, I think there's a lot of commentary using uh, he, him, his, all in capital letters in the heart of this paragraph, and also Lord your God. The Lord your God is repeated. So there's a lot of emphasis on the God of the Israelites. The question was raised, why is this necessary to repeat all of this? It is it's a discussion on a value system. If you adhere to these values, it's not in name only. You have to really believe in it. You have to embody it. Bring it within you, in your heart and your soul. It's a system of values that you're going to adhere to. And I think that is uh, what is being mentioned. But if you don't follow it, if you are allowed to be influenced by others, if your neighbor, a foreigner, a you know a commercial, whatever, and you say, that just doesn't sound right, but I like the way that guy looks. I'm going to listen to his words more than the guy who's standing there all disheveled and like that. Because this other fellow dresses nicely and has a way about him, and somebody who doesn't. Oh, he's slovenly and everything, says things I don't care for. But maybe it's the value system that is the key here in this paragraph. That all these other things can pull you away from the what and change the way you believe, the system you believe in, and then unfortunately, if that change occurs in you, that's going to affect your family and friends and the rest of the community, possibly the rest of the community.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm going to have
Rabbi.
to leave in a minute, but Marty, in the contemporary rabbinate, we
Mm-hmm.
call that the edifice complex.
Okay.
Okay? That's,
Yes.
who has the nicest building? Who
Yes.
has all the pizzazz?
Oh, yeah.
Who advertises and promotes and da
Yeah.
da da da, and which detracts from the actual message.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay? Yeah, we call that the edifice complex.
Huh.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. All right, I'm going to have to wish everybody Shabbat
Okay.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
Shalom and
Shalom.
Continued
happy Hanukkah. That
continued
hope
Chag
everyone is.
Sameach.
Yes.
We don't have our non-Jewish friends with us this morning, so I can't wish them Merry Christmas. But if you see anybody in the community, wish them. Hope they have a festive and meaningful holiday as well.
Thank you.
Okay, take
Very
care,
good.
everyone.
You take care
Thank you.
too.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thanks for your input too.
Mm.
The it's but it is interesting.
Yeah, I liked that that value. There's, if you want to know, um, if you, what you value reflects where you're at. Okay. You can tell a person what's important and what they value. They may value the car, the big temple, the synagogue, all that stuff. Um, but that, yeah.
So I call those detractants. From the real meaning. If you,
Yeah.
I find that there's more value in doing something to uh, to help others.
Hmm.
That's just my makeup.
Yeah.
Oh,
At the synagogue I went to there in Palm Springs, Temple Isaiah, we broke away as a group along with our rabbi because of just all that underbelly stuff.
that
And
can happen.
it's a beautiful. If you're ever there, go see the temple. It's a beautiful temple, and they have the big glass window, and it show with the San Jacinto Mountains being revealed.
Mhm.
So it is a beautiful, sacred environment, but it's it's the human condition. So we had broke away, and we had no meeting place, and so we ended up. This group ended up starting a Havdalah, uh, after Sabbath. We had
Okay.
that as a group, and then we built into a Christian church, allowed us then to have a space in their place. So not having all that detraction, as you say, really, I liked that, and I liked that about us. You know,
Mhm.
I value that. I'm not into all the glitter and it's not gold and all that stuff. So,
So but
but it works for them. Okay.
yeah.
Once again, no judgment. It's one,
That's right. That's one of the things,
but it didn't work for me.
but that's another value to
Right.
recognize that others
Yeah.
may have other values. But what happens when values clash?
Hmm. Give an example.
Okay, something that okay, uh, mutilation of genitalia.
Hmm. And
Okay,
so the clash being,
one group they feel it's perfectly okay,
mhm,
and in another, no way.
mhm.
So how do you go about solving this problem?
Are you talking about circumcision
No, no,
or the female?
talking about female
Okay, gotcha. You got,
genital.
I understand you. Yeah, got. So how do you, I don't.
Well, this is these are the things that you take two opposing sides. You have Russia versus the United States. You have China versus Russia. A lot of people forget that part. They think they're very close allies, but they really aren't. China has always said that it will take over Russia, and if you can apply that to people who suddenly say advertise they're a plumber, but they're not licensed, but people still use them because they're cheap and they love him because he's cheap, but they need his services more frequently than the other one, who's licensed. It's a value system.
Mhm.
What happens to somebody? I apologize.
That's okay, Marty.
I don't want to. I can't. Sometimes I can turn something off, and I should have put that in another. There are wireless callers that come through, and I never answer those. And even if they decide to leave a message, I'll call them back. It's
Okay.
important. So, but
Mhm.
I never answer wireless callers. But
Well,
anyway,
you were talking about the clashing, though.
yeah,
There's not gonna, I think that's where the riots and all that stuff, it's the clashing of,
yeah, because
in the shootings, the clashing of.
yes, but all of those are bad if you want a peaceful solution. Some of those shootings and some of those riots aren't good if you want a peaceful solution. And if you say that this riot is better than the other riot, well, that means you've
They support
defeated
riots.
the whole argument against rioting. So it is um, it has to be a very strong sense of value, and you have to be willing to say to people who you like, well, wait a minute, have you thought about this? As opposed to that,
Yeah.
you
But in
know?
that example you gave, there's no conclusion. I don't even go there because they're not going to change me. I'm not going to change them.
That's right. Well,
And so it's knowing
that's the
when
sad
not to
part.
even.
That is the sad part when you carry any value system to an extreme.
Mhm.
Okay, and that what we're seeing are extremes, and we're living in a time period of extremes. We have to still seek balance for ourselves, our family members, the people
Mhm.
around us.
Mhm.
It's
See,
healthier. It's
we're all
healthier.
we're also living in a time where we have freedoms without responsibility. And I think
Good point.
a lot of this happens because of the freedoms we have. The freedoms are good. However, they have to all freedoms have to come with responsibility. Because if you have freedom without responsibility, what you have is chaos and anarchy. That's what you have.
And if you think about it, this is the concept. It's spoken about in Torah. We had
Yeah.
this discussion way back too, as with the giving of the laws and everything else, all the way back in the book of Exodus.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility to ourselves to protect the values that we hold most dear.
And to protect the values of us,
And
of you,
yes,
Marty.
well,
For
not
me to prevent, if something should come up, to
that's
protect that
right.
of you.
That's right.
I
But
need
not
you.
if those values that we know, if somebody is going to say that killing is okay, well, maybe it isn't okay. If we say to everyone else, you have to believe my way and my way only, well, what about their rights?
Well, you have to
That's right.
with killing, you have to go on the assumption that killing is not right. That's the overall message that killing is not all right. The top. However, that does come with a however. However, you have to be responsible enough to understand when it's necessary. When it's necessary, not when it's okay,
Right.
but when it's necessary. And it's necessary to protect innocent life. That's when it's necessary.
Hmm.
And by the way, this is Star Trek, okay? This is uh, Daniel Defoe, okay? It is, and the Three Musketeers. There are times when the needs of the many outweigh those of the needs of the one,
Mm.
okay? And there are times when the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it reverts to time and place and finding balance as best you can.
Yeah. At that, I'm gonna have to
And
say
it's
goodbye.
11:30 or
Yes,
11:31.
but I'm gonna
So
make sure we
with
mark this.
that, I think I'm going to wish everyone a great Hanukkah and have
Mer-
a lot of happiness in your lives.
You
Everyone
too,
Too.
Mark.
deserves.
And
Marty,
lots of
can I just add one thing before we close? Well, as daughter was saying before, I was saying Torah is eternal. Okay.
Hmm.
When we're talking about these sex augmentations, it, the Torah says a man and a woman, and XY, the chromosomes. If you're looking at the science, which they didn't have, but they knew. And the science that we have today that can define, identify, whatever you want to call it, a person's sex, it's still the same. It's not, well, maybe you got this, or you got an ABC chromosome, you got X or Y, and that's it. And there is no way to deny that, since they want to get into all the scientific stuff. That's how God created us, a man and a woman, not a kind of sorta.
Okay. Goodbye, folks.
Okay,
Happy
you all take care.
But